Here is the tongue, which is part of the mouth. The mouth also has teeth, which break down food mechanically. And it has salivary glands that secrete saliva to lubricate food and begin digestion. And the tongue helps push back food during swallowing. And so the tongue is a muscle, strong muscle, and it'll push the food down this esophagus, which moves the food from the mouth all the way down to the stomach. And the stomach is a J-shaped sac that stores food until it can be emptied into the small intestine. It secretes hydrochloric acid and other enzymes that aid in digestion. And its smooth muscle movements help break down food into chyme. And it has 3 parts, the first part being the fundus, the second part is the body, and the third part here at the base is the antrum. And so then we're going to talk about the small intestine. The first part is the duodenum, and lots of breakdown of carbohydrates as well as proteins occur here because of pancreatic enzymes and brush border enzymes. And lipid digestion also occurs in the lumen of the small intestine. And now we're going to move on to the second part, which is known as the jejunum, this blue scarf here. And more digestion occurs here, but mostly functions in absorption of sugars, amino acids, and fatty acids. Lots of absorption occurs in these first 2 parts of the small intestine. Now we're going to talk about the ileum, this pink scarf here. The ileum absorbs vitamin B12, bile salts, and anything left over that wasn't absorbed already by the duodenum or the jejunum. And little digestion occurs here. Now we're going to move on to the cecum, this kind of fluffy feather boa thing. And the cecum is a spot for microbial fermentation and digestion of cellulose and starches. And then it empties into the first part of the large intestine here. There's 2 parts, which this is the large colon, also known as the ascending colon. Gut microbes break down fiber and cellulose from the digesta, as well as starches that are broken down here into VFAs. Vitamins are produced by the bacteria and absorbed into the large intestine. Here is the small or descending colon, and in this mainly absorbs any extra fluids that weren't absorbed by the first part of the large intestine, and it also forms fecal balls. These fecal balls are brought to the rectum, which is temporary storage for feces that will be expelled through the anus. So we are going to talk about the trachea now, and this is a long tube that passes air to the lungs, and it has, you can see it comes from the nostrils, which aren't pictured, but horses are nasal breathers, so it comes through the nose and into the trachea, which has these cartilage rings, and it flows down into the lungs here, these big pillows. And the lungs function to take in air and also participate in oxygen and gas exchange with the bloodstream and capillaries. And underneath these 2 lungs here is the heart. And the heart functions to pump blood to the entire body and its systems. And the heart, on top of it, has this phrenic nerve right here, which provides motor control of the diaphragm, so breathing is possible. And we'll put the lung back up on here. And now we're going to talk about the liver, which is just above the stomach. And the liver continuously secretes bile because horses do not have gallbladders. Horses are continuous grazers, so there is no need to store the bile. Bile salts are also made in the liver, and these aid in lipid digestion and absorption. And the liver also detoxifies blood and provides surveillance over all portal blood to help with the immune response of the body. And now we're going to talk about the pancreas, which I used my cinch here to represent. And the pancreas is a long gland that is behind and below the stomach. It secretes insulin and glucagon to regulate blood sugar levels, and also secretes pancreatic and enzymes to aid in digestion of carbohydrates and proteins. And it secretes a buffer alkaline solution, which is made of sodium bicarbonate. And now we will go across and talk about the spleen, which I represented with a black t-shirt. The spleen recycles red blood cells, platelets, and white blood cells are also stored here. It filters blood to aid the immune system in defense against harmful bacteria and pathogens that may enter the body. And next we'll talk about the kidneys. These two organs right here, which have ureters. The ureters are muscular tubes that push urine into the bladder. The kidneys filter blood to remove any waste products and maintain fluid balance. And the waste products are excreted as urine, so the urine will run down these ureters into the bladder, and the bladder holds the urine until it is ready to be excreted during urination.